Hello, my name is Maddie. This is going to be my June wrap-up. I read 7 books this month, which is better than I have been doing since I've been in a book slump. Just to reference the book journal, I have like a genre tracker where I am recording which genres I've read, so I know that I've read 3 romance, 2 fantasy, and 2 mystery thrillers this month. Well, last month, you know what I mean. I had pretty good ratings this month. I wouldn't say it was bad. I just feel like I was a very slow reader, so I would like to hopefully step it up going into July. But I'm kind of just vibing right now. I'm in the middle of a lot of books, but I'm enjoying all the books I'm reading. And I think I'm coming out of, well, you'll see. I feel like I had a good month is what I'm trying to say. But let's start with our first book and just get right into it. I got the B. If you've read Magnolia Parks, you know I'm currently in the middle of reading Magnolia Parks for the first time. But I read Daisy Haites was my first book of June. This is a chonker. I recently bought the UK paperbacks and my god, they're huge. But this one, are there not page numbers? I didn't read this physically, I read it on my Kindle. It's about 400 pages. I'm not going through that right now, but I gave this 4 stars. I enjoyed it. I kind of liked having the crime aspect of it included. Magnolia kind of drags on for me because I'm not the biggest fan of BJ and Magnolia's relationship, but I read The Conditions of Will. I don't know if you guys can see it on my shelf, and I loved that one. That was like a 5-star read for me. So I decided to pick up Magnolia again after DNFing it last year, and now I'm finally on Daisy Haites. I got through the first book and I read this one, and I can say for certain Daisy Haites is for me. A lot of people tell you when you start Magnolia Parks that you're either going to be a Daisy Haites person or you're going to be a Magnolia Parks person, and I am absolutely a Daisy Haites person. I love her character so much, and I do really like her relationship with Christian, even though it is toxic. But it's toxic in a different way than BJ and Magnolia are. BJ and Magnolia, it just feels like you're fighting toddlers that just won't accept they like each other, whereas with Daisy and Christian, and there's another past love interest that kind of comes into play in this book, but you can understand realistically where they're coming from because of the crazy circumstances that she lives in. Basically, her brother, Julian Haites, kind of runs like this underground art stealing, I don't want to call it a mafia. I don't think it's called a mafia. But he runs basically this criminal organization where they steal art. And so she's in a lot of danger because of that. And then Christian is part of the friend group that Julian is also associated with. So they kind of just cross paths that way. But it was really interesting to read. I can't really say more than like I just had a good time. I just get kind of frustrated reading these books because I do feel like I enjoy the writing, but it takes a while for me to get through. It's not like I can digest it like Hazelwood or Annabelle Monaghan. It feels like I really have to like sit with this when I pick it up. I'm gonna continue it soon. I'm intimidated by the size of Magnolia Parks books, especially because I know I don't enjoy them as much. I lied, I'm not done. Okay. Jessa Hastings came out supporting using ChatGPT as a tool to research for books when you're writing. I don't agree with that. I, so far, haven't noticed anything in her books that make that obvious, I guess. Even, she doesn't have to do that much research for a romance book. Like, it's not a fantasy, and it's not like historical fiction. She can make up the world however she wants, so having the need to use an AI resource to write or come up with ideas or even just give you information that could very realistically be false, I don't really agree with it, but I did just buy these. So I am going to read them for that sake. I'm kind of just leaving it up. If you guys are interested in the books and that doesn't bother you, go ahead and support it or find a way to read it on an EPUB. But I literally just bought these 2 months ago, so I am going to read them while I have them on my shelf. I say that for a book that I write. I rated this 3.5 stars, but I'm still sitting here. It's Ali Hazelwood and a new Ali Hazelwood release at that. So you can't blame me. I get excited for anything Ali Hazelwood puts out. I have read all but 2. I've read all but 2 of her books. I haven't read Check and Mate, and I haven't read Love on the Brain. I read everything else she's put out, and I continuously enjoy them. They're super easy, quick reads, great romances. She loves to do STEM romances, and a lot of the female characters are pretty strong or just very creative and smart, and I just love seeing the way that she portrays women in her books. This one's an age gap romance, which is kind of new for her, and it's an age gap romance where they both knew each other before. So it's like a little interesting. If you're into that, it didn't bother me that much, and I'm not a big fan of age gap romances, but it was fun. I can say for certain this was fun. It was one of those where it's during someone else's wedding. It's actually the wedding of Not in Love, Eli and Rue's wedding, and then Maya is Eli's sister, you know. So it's during their wedding. You kind of get like the countdown of the days, like it's day 12 until of the wedding. They do the 3 days before the wedding. I don't know, I kind of just love when books do that, where it kind of lays out the timeline as you're reading it, so I can feel like I'm getting to a goal, even though every book there's the goal just to get to the end, but having that like, oh, we have 3 more days of the wedding in the story. The only reason this gets a 3.5 star is because I am an avid fan of Ali Hazelwood, and this just didn't give me the oomph, you know, like no pizzazz. It wasn't my favorite of all the books I've read, but it was something I still enjoyed and would recommend, you know? It's still a good one. I still love her. I don't know what I was doing when I picked this up, but I picked up The Hobbit next. Jack, my partner, really wants me to watch Lord of the Rings with him, so I picked up The Hobbit because he basically kind of pushed it into my hands. And I said, you know what? Sure. I tried to read this last year, kind of similar situation to Magnolia Parks, where I read it, I knew I wanted to continue it again, but I just never picked it up again. So like a year later, I just sat down and read the crap out of this, and I had a fun time. I gave this 4 stars. I thought it was fun. I thought it was goofy. I had fun reading it out at the park. It was really fun just seeing all the little characters. I was waiting for Smeagol, and I was happy to see Smeagol. I am so excited to see him when I read Lord of the Rings, which I am currently in the middle of, but I'm taking my time. But, yeah. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about dwarves and, like, elves, because I haven't read, like, I've read a lot of fantasy. I haven't delved into that sub-genre of fantasy. So, I'm taking this as a win that I tried something new, and I actually had a lot of fun. So, yeah, this was a weird, really weird pickup for me, but I enjoyed it. So, that's a win. She's killing it! She was next. I'm in my Kindle era, so I feel like a fraud holding up these books, because I didn't read these physically. I did put my bookmark in it, like every time that I got to a certain chapter, but I read this on my Kindle. I downloaded the EPUB, and guys, I love B.K. Borison's writing. They also wrote Love Light Farms that I've read, and I also really, really enjoyed that. That's like an every year reread for me. And I'm so shocked. I was never going to read anything else after Love Light Farms. I don't know why. It like never crossed my mind. But I kept hearing everyone talk about this, so I was like, the girlies are onto something. I should get on it, you know? And I'm happy I clued in because I had a really fun time. It follows, it's a little bit like Sleepless in Seattle. It's very much inspired by Sleepless in Seattle. Jesus Christ. But Aiden is our mailman character, and he hosts a relationship advice radio hotline. And Lucy, our female main character, has a, I think, 14-year-old daughter. Like a teenager, like a young tween. And she calls in like the middle of the night on behalf of her mom to be like, my mom's single as fuck, can you help me? And Lucy catches her, but then this spurs a viral moment online that then they try to get, the radio station wants to get Lucy on the show, so they start hosting a relationship show to find Lucy a partner, but the radio host looking kind of fine, you know. This was cute. This was so much fun, and I really liked the ending. I was feeling a little so-so about the like 75% mark. I was like, okay, this is good, but it's dragging. The end scene is so cute. The end scene is so cute. So Lucy's ex and baby daddy is also a character in the book, and I really liked how he was portrayed. It was very refreshing to see an ex portrayed in a book in a more supportive way, instead of just going down the normal route where you're supposed to hate them and they're the worst person in the world. Adding that extra layer of like, okay, you actually have like 2 gay dads, because now he's married to another man who lives right next door, and he's all up in your business, and he's reading the shit out of you because he loves you and he's known you for so long. So seeing how he interacts or starts, I don't know, moving pieces for them to try and get them together, because everyone starts playing matchmaker just naturally, and it was really funny to see his character. So I gave this 4.5 stars. Now that I'm talking about it, I'm like, be honest. Is it a 5-star? If I knew, I would know. So I do 4.5 ? The next 2 books I read on my Kindle, so I don't have the physical versions, but I'll put them up on the screen. I read 2 Freida McFadden books in like a day, because I was bored and I felt I got behind on my reading challenge, so I kind of was just like, what can I binge? And Freida McFadden is usually a pretty good start when you need to binge to get to a goal. So I read Death Row. I specifically saw this recommended from Freida, another YouTuber I like to watch. But Death Row basically follows a woman she's on death row and just appealed to get more time or to get off death sentence. And it gets denied. And she believes that she sees her husband, who she is being incarcerated and given the death penalty because of killing her husband. So she starts to believe that he's alive. She's stuck in solitary confinement, kind of just going a little crazy. And obviously with Freida, it's a thriller. She does a lot of plot twists, so it was really fun to read. It's a little more sad than I was expecting, so maybe don't go into this if you're in having a bad night. I would maybe pick one of Freida's other books, because this one gets kind of sad at the end. But it was a very interesting take. I gave it 3 stars. It was like good, and then I forgot about it. Like, if someone asked me for a thriller, I'd be like, oh, this one's 70 pages and good and okay, like fun for a little bit. Like, it's just like a good, quick, like, okay, yeah, now I can move on. And afterwards I read The Crash. This one was like a little better. I would say it's like a 3.25 if I really want to get specific. But it's very, very similar to Misery by Stephen King. Oh, I saw those comparisons before I read it, so I can't even take credit for noticing that. Basically, this pregnant woman gets into a car crash. And she's a single mother. Something didn't work out with her, so she doesn't have a lot of like a financial support for herself. She doesn't have a lot of family supporting her, so she gets in a car crash. These random strangers find her, and the wife of the husband that finds her kind of has a weird infatuation, obsession with her. And then when it comes out that she's like 8 months pregnant, so like the woman obviously knows. The woman just begins to go a little crazy and not let the pregnant woman leave. So it's very like, I'm gonna keep you here and steal your baby. And it's a little weird for me. I was reading it and I was like, what the fuck? You know? But I was I was fine. I was having a good time. I like the drama. It's more drama rather than like not making sense. In my notes, one thing I wrote is, everyone sucks here, but the man is somehow the best. We've arrived at my favorite. So I'm currently doing a reread. Let me grab it. I'm literally wearing my Throne of Glass shirt because I was that excited. Everyone talks about AHHHH. It's Throne of Glass for me. I'm sorry. So I'm reading these in a different order than I originally read them. I'm doing that on purpose because I wanted to experience it the way my friend read it when I shoved it down their throats. But I read Assassin's Blade the month before in May, and then I reread this month. I've kind of just been ending my months with one of the rereads because I don't want to spend only my time reading books that I have already read, but I do want to get this done before the AHHHH the sixth book comes out. And at this point, I just want to be back in this world, so I'm letting myself do it as a little treat. But if you guys love the show Game of Thrones, if you like high fantasy, if you like watching huge character arcs, this series is incredible. I have 2 tattoos for this series. I haven't stopped thinking about this series since I read it 2.5 years ago. This is crack. If you don't know what Throne of Glass is about, we basically have Selena Sardathian, who is our 16-year-old, very sassy, fiery-tempered, kind of just wants to do what she wants, very, like, skilled and trained as a assassin. She's just been enslaved wrongfully, like, was betrayed and stuck there, and now the Prince of Adarlan, his father, the king, is having a games, basically, where they can become the king's champion and then do all his dirty work for him. And then after a certain amount of years, they will be given freedom. So they say. And you get to watch Selena go to the glass castle and compete in these games, kind of catch on to different clues around the castle, seeing what kind of magic is being hidden, what kind of dark magic is kind of ruminating, and kind of solving it. This one's a little bit more, I don't want to say mystery, but you're going along with her, seeing all these things happen, and then they lead up to the end. Duh, that's how a book works. Oh my god. She's well read, but she can't describe a book. Me putting it in simple words. Sassy girl who can fight real hard, fights to be the king. Sassy girl, very fiery temper, can kill anyone she wants and is very trained and perfect. We love her. And then we have the king, holding these games to have his personal assassin. She is trying to become that assassin so that she can have freedom. This is how much I could talk for hours. I can't even summarize it because I just want to keep talking about it. I don't even know how to rate this technically, because when I look at the series, I would rate it 4 stars. When I'm talking about the series and how much I love this and how much excited I get reading this, it's like 1,000,000 stars. Like, I can't define it. I'm sorry. All in all, I'm saying I feel like I had a pretty good reading month. The only thing that was weird for me besides The Hobbit was the thrillers. I don't usually pick those up too often. I was happy to get some new releases off my checklist. Trying to get through series, that's another thing I really gotta get through. If you guys want to see getting through my series type of vlog, I can do that. So that was everything I read for the month. I'm sorry it didn't seem like that much, but 7 books has been good for me, and I feel like I read a good amount of books that I enjoyed, and I got through some of them quick. I am 3 books behind on my reading challenge for Goodreads specifically. I want to read 100 books in the year. I've only read, I think, 46. So I'm hoping this momentum from June is going to keep going through July so that I can have, I don't know, hopefully get back on track and then feel like I'm exceeding my goal instead of kind of chasing it. So I will see you guys in July in the next reading vlog. Bye!